Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 420. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is it time to pivot or quit? Is it time to pivot or quit? Now, as entrepreneurs, quitting is a dirty word, guys, but sometimes it's the right time to move on and throw in the towel. And on today's show, we're going to talk about 8 signs that you should look that indicate your business should pivot and 6 signs that you should probably quit your business. And there's some caveats to this. Now, before we get to today's show, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Now, both of those sites are we're actually refreshing those sites with a different platform, so they will be back out shortly. If you happen to go to one of the sites or you want to be listed on the site when they come back on, just go to BeSmartByBlack.com or HireBlackFreelancers.com. There's a landing page. Put your email in, and as soon as they're ready to go, you'll be notified and you can jump on those pages. Also, I do want to mention, guys, the new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy is available. Get 3 days free access. Go to BEBacademy.com. It's an online learning portal for entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter if you're a first-time or a new entrepreneur or an existing entrepreneur. We have all types of resources such as masterclasses, online courses, PDFs, downloads, and tons of resources to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Also, don't forget, guys, if you need how to learn to build a lead generation system, I have a simple email course, only $27. Go to 5dayleadgensystem.com. 5dayleadgensystem.com. That's the number 5 DAY leadgensystem.com, and you can get more information. All businesses need leads, and today's show is very important and it's very significant to be able to generate leads on a systematic basis so you don't have to pivot or quit. So 5dayleadgensystem.com. It's only $27. It's an email course. So for 5 days, you're going to get an email sent out to you with resources, the lesson, and also homework for the next day. 5dayleadgensystem.com. Now, let's talk about, guys, is it time to pivot or quit? Now, I know as an entrepreneur, when we put all our heart and soul into a business, it's very hard for us to leave that alone. Been there, done that. So if you're one of the first-time listeners, I'm a serial entrepreneur, been making a living for 20 plus years as a serial entrepreneur, started over 17 businesses, almost lost it all twice in terms of everything, house, cars, everything, but was blessed to be able to make comebacks 2 times. And I built 2 multi-million-dollar businesses, separate multi-million-dollar businesses through my 20 plus year career. So once again, I've seen the gamut of the highs and the lows. So everything that I talk about on this show, guys, I'm not just talking about it, I've experienced it. And so there's a difference between a guru and a duru. A guru talks about stuff he may or she may not know about. I'm a duru. Everything I talk about, I've done. And being in the position where you may have to pivot or quit, it's very emotional because your business is your baby. You've incubated it, you fed it, you got up at night, changed diapers, got that bottle ready or whatever. And so it's your baby. And I've seen people hold on to businesses so long that they almost ruin themselves. And I can raise my hand. If you could see me right now recording this, I'm one of them dudes. Okay, I'm one of those people. I was so caught up and so convinced that I could turn my mortgage company around that I almost ruined everything. I actually almost lost it all with that anyway, due to the crash of 2007, 2008. So it was just a function of me being in that industry and also the overall economy. But let's start out by talking about what's the definition of pivot as it pertains to business. A pivot means fundamentally changing the direction of a business when you realize that current products or services aren't meeting the needs of the market or you're not making enough money. A pivot means fundamentally changing the direction of a business when you realize the current products or services aren't meeting the needs of the market or you're not making enough money. Now, what does quit mean? That means leave, usually a place or a situation, and it's usually permanently. So we all know what quitting is. Quitting is the easiest thing you can do, guys. I used to tell my kids it takes absolutely no effort or energy to quit. All you have to do is decide it in your mind, and that's it. So quitting, when it comes to entrepreneurship, that's not what we want to do, but sometimes it's the best thing to do. And there's some caveats to that, and we're going to get into it. So let's start off with the pivoting. Here are 8 signs that you should look for that indicate your business may want to pivot. Okay, and I'm going to give you some real life examples a little later. Number 1, there's too much competition. So you just can't compete anymore, and your ideas may have been unique at one time and original, but a bigger company or somebody else came along with more resources and they basically taken over. You can't compete anymore. And some businesses are in that situation. When you sell a commodity, for example, when you commoditize whatever your product or service is, you're never going to be able to compete with the larger companies. I'm going to give you a real life example with my hot sauce, right? HellYeahHotSauce.com. Make sure y'all check it out. All right. Now, I was on the phone with a buyer the other day, and he was talking about competition. I sent him samples. They liked it. But, they get tons of samples every month. And he was saying that, we'll let you know if we're interested. And I said, okay, cool. And I emailed him back or texted him back. And I said, what are some of the things that I need to do business with your company? And he texted back and he said, candidly, your price per ounce of your hot sauce is almost 2 to 2.5 times that of Frank's hot sauce. And so I texted him back and I said, guess what? I said, that's right. I said, because we're not a watered down hot sauce. We are a premium, small batch, all natural, vegan friendly hot sauce. And it's a premium gourmet hot sauce. So we're not trying to compete with Frank's hot sauce. Number one, they're multinational company, and they probably can produce a bottle of hot sauce for less than it costs to put it in the glass that it's sold in. I was in Walmart the other day, and I think they're selling a bottle of Frank's for $1.68. There's no way I could compete with that. So what you want to do when there's too much competition, you want to differentiate yourself. And so I told him, I said, you know what? That's cool. I'm not going to be able to compete with watered down sauce because I'm not in the watered down sauce space. I'm in the gourmet premium hot sauce space. Okay. And I'm not going to pivot because there's a market there. But we're talking about 8 signs you should look for that may indicate your business should pivot. Number 1 is too much competition. So if you can't compete, then you may need to look at something else or a different variation of your products and or services. Number 2, you've lost all passion. So that's one of the biggest signs when it's time to pivot, because you realize you lost your passion for working within that certain industry, sector, or market. And if you're not dedicated, guys, it's time to change. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're passionate about something for a while and then you lose that passion, be it because the industry is changing or something else, your mind, your thoughts change, your perspectives change, then guess what? It may be time to pivot. And this has happened to me on several different occasions. And so when I had a marketing company and I was doing trade shows and expos, and I don't know if this is due to my ADD, because I do have a lot of things going on, as most entrepreneurs do. Our minds never stop. But after a while, I was like, okay, I've done this. I kind of conquered it. What's the next thing? And that's the way I kind of think. All right, I've done this. I've been able to master this. I made money in it. All right, on to the next. And so if you've lost your passion for what you're doing, that may be a sign that you need to pivot your business and steer it in a direction that makes you or allows you to be more passionate about. Okay, and what we're talking about today, guys, is it time to pivot or quit? Now, number 3, and we're talking 8 signs you should look for that may indicate your business should pivot. Number 3, you're looking at other markets or industries. So if you find yourself looking at potential new markets or industries, that's a fantastic sign, guys, that you and your business need to make a pivot. So I always talk about foresight. So when I say my prayers every day, actually every night and every morning, I ask God for wisdom, courage, foresight, strength, health, and love. Okay. And I've been blessed with foresight. So sometimes you need to have that foresight, especially in business, to look at other markets or industries and see what's happening right now in your industry or the economy and how it may affect what you're currently doing. So you always want to be on the lookout. You want to be able to look ahead. It's just like when you're driving. If you look 5 feet in front of you, you're going to be able to drive, but if something happens further down the road and you're only looking 5 feet in front of you, guess what? You're going to run right into it. So you have to have that down the road type vision. So looking at other markets or industries isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if you're doing that too much and you're starting to drift that way, then it might be time to pivot. Sign number 4, your company has hit a plateau. So if you're concerned about your expansion and your growth your company is undergoing, it may be a telltale sign, guys, that you probably waited a little too long to pivot. So if you hit a plateau, meaning that you can't break through a specific revenue ceiling, that may mean, you know what, I've gotten all I can get out of this market. Maybe I need to pivot or change my approach to something else. So if you've hit that ceiling, if your business is only generating $100,000 a year for the last 7 years and you've never broken that ceiling, not that that's not, good, it's decent, but if you want to continue to grow and scale, you need to break through. So if your company has hit a plateau, you may want to start to look at pivoting. Okay, look at what some of the other companies in your industry are doing, and maybe they've already started to pivot, and you may need to follow that. All right. Number 5, struggling with technology. So if you're incapable of modernizing your technology, you may consider a major pivot. So how has technology changed in your industry, and are you able to keep up? Okay. So for example, years ago in a previous life, I used to work in advertising. I used to work at Gannett, one of the largest newspaper publishing companies in the country. And they used to own USA Today and a lot of other local publications, newspapers. And one of the things was the internet was coming back in. And so was not coming back in. The internet actually started. And a lot of these companies were having a hard time switching over to digital versus print, because print had been so, ingrained so many years, hundreds of years, there's been print papers and publications out. And now this new thing, quote unquote, called the internet is coming. And guess what? If a company was struggling with technology, then they weren't able to keep up. So I'll give you another real life example. AAA, right? After I left Gannett, I went to AAA and I was selling advertising in the hotel and the resort industries. And what I was selling advertising in was actually to the AAA travel books. Now, this is years ago. So if you wanted to travel now, you're just going to jump on your phone and put in your destination. But years ago, people would buy these destination books. So if you were going to California, you can buy a book from AAA. It would have all the hotels, it would have all the maps and everything. And another company that had issues transitioning from print to digital was AAA. And they lost so much money. They were used to having basically a monopoly on advertising for travel when it came to print. Yes, your newspapers would have that, but AAA was making tens of millions of dollars a year on print. I remember one guy who had the California book. He was making over, he was billing over $37 million just from hotels that advertised in the AAA California book. But once again, as technology changed and AAA didn't keep up with technology, just like a lot of newspapers, they lost revenues and readership. So if you're struggling with technology, then it may be time to pivot. Number 6, your brand isn't attractive. Now, this is a hard thing to hear when you're an entrepreneur, because once again, your brand, your product, your service, your business, that's your baby. You birthed it from ideation all the way to fruition. And now your brand isn't attractive. So the attractiveness of your brand basically determines the overall success of your company. So when your brand isn't attractive, it may be time to pivot. Now, you can spruce up your brand, or you may have to go in a new direction. And what we're talking about today, guys, is it time to pivot or quit? And I'm giving you 8 signs you should look for that indicate your business should pivot. Then we're going to talk about 6 signs that may indicate that you need to quit your business. All right. So we just talked about number 6, and your brand isn't attractive. 8 signs that you should look for to indicate that your business should pivot. Number 7, your perspective has changed. So once you've launched your company and been running it for some time, there is a possibility, guys, that your goals, vision, and values will change. And so your perspective has changed. You don't want what you wanted before. And I'll give you a real life example with my mortgage company, or after my mortgage company crashed, my perspective changed 100%. So initially, I had 50 plus employees spending 10 grand a month on a big ass office downtown Philadelphia, living that corporate, not corporate, it was my business, but it was like a corporate type atmosphere. I was in the office pretty much every day unless I was traveling for business. And that's what I wanted at that time. I wanted to build a big conglomerate. We wanted to have multiple offices in multiple states. But my perspective after the crash had changed. And I don't want a lot of employees. I don't want any employees, to be honest with you. I don't want a big office in Center City, Philadelphia, even though I got a small one. I don't want to have payroll. I don't want to have all that overhead. I don't want to be locked into going into the office every day. I want freedom and flexibility. And so when your perspective has changed, it may be time for you to pivot. And that's a real life example of me when I made my comeback, determining what I wanted to do as opposed to the way I was working and living before versus what my perspective is now on freedom, flexibility, and basically having a nimble business where I can pretty much work anywhere that I'm set up as long as I got my laptop and the internet. That's number 7. Your perspective has changed. And last but not least, number 8, your industry or the economy has changed. So your industry may have gone through a seismic shift, a metamorphosis, whatever you want to call it, or the economy has changed. So I'll go back to the mortgage business. So I've never sold drugs in my life. Got a couple family members that do and did. And when I was in the mortgage business back in the early 2000s, that was like drug money. It was crazy. Money was coming hand over fist. We were closing loans like crazy, bringing in over several $1 million a month in revenues. It was ridiculous. But what happened? The financial crash happened. Started in 2007 and then really hit in 2008. So the industry and the economy changed. So they tightened up the credit restrictions and we couldn't get people approved for mortgages. And the only way we got paid was we got paid when we sold mortgages. So that industry had changed. The economy had changed. Also, anybody in that industry, right? That vertical, you could be a real estate agent. You felt that, right? You could be an appraiser, an appraisal companies. I know so many people in that industry basically almost lost it all. And I had a lot of friends in that industry, all, other mortgage brokers, friends that were loan officers, real estate agents. One of my best friends has an appraisal company in New York and Long Island. And it was basically everything got shut down, So just look at COVID just recently. We're finally starting to get back out there. but the economy has changed. The landscape has changed. And sometimes things in your industry change where you're not able to possibly keep up. So once again, it could be technology. You may not be able to have the resources for the technology. So these are 8 things or 8 signs that you should look for that may indicate your business should pivot. All right. Now we're going to talk about 6 signs that you should probably quit your business. But let me give you a caveat to that. Now, quitting your business doesn't mean that you quit being an entrepreneur. Recognize and understand that. I'm going to repeat that. Quitting your business does not mean that you should quit being an entrepreneur. It just means that your idea / or your business didn't work. So here's the beauty of it as entrepreneurs, guys. You know what? Now you know what not to do. Remember, it's a learning process. And excuse my voice, guys. I'm a little hoarse today, but it's a learning process. And so that is part of the process to be a successful entrepreneur. You know, I mentioned at the top of the show, I've started over 17 different businesses, legal businesses in terms of LLCs, products and services. But I've tried probably 40 or 50 different things. I just tried them under the same business name. So here's some of my numbers off the top of my head. So out of my 17 quote unquote real businesses that I've started, not counting things that I just tried on the side, 5 of them were abject failures, total failures. 5 of them were pretty good. 5 of them were real good, and 2 were multi-million-dollar businesses. So you see, guys, I failed a lot. But see, that to me, that's progress. Okay. And it may sound crazy, but that's real progress. You want to fail fast. Every time you fail, you learn. You take from what happened and you build upon that. What really happens is when you really lose is when you've gone through these steps and you get that know-how now because you've lost something or you had to shut your business down, but you never keep moving forward. That's when quitting, that's when it's real bad. But as an entrepreneur, it don't stop, y'all. It's never going to stop. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to keep going. You may have to switch businesses. You may have another idea or whatever, but it's not bad to shut down a business if you have to. And I'm coming right back to the mortgage business again. I was rolling like crazy for years, probably about 8-9 years, right? Money hand over fist. All of a sudden things get shut down, right? I got 50 employees. I got my boys, my 2 business partners. So it's 3 of us. And we're rolling, and then all of a sudden the money stops coming in. But we've been stacked up. We stacked up personally and we stacked up in the business. So not knowing how bad the economy was and not thinking that it would last for so long, we were like, all right, let's start sinking money back into the business and keeping it afloat. We got payroll. We got all of this. And after about 6-8 months of doing this, trying to make sure my work family was okay, my wife came to me one day because our accounts were getting depleted. I'm putting hundreds of thousands of dollars from my personal monies back into the business. And so were my partners. And my wife was like, yo, dude, she said, and I'm not going to say how she said it, you know, because my wife, sometimes she can get like that, but I get it. She was like, yo, dude, she said, basically, you know, I know you got a family at work, but what the hell's going on with us? You know, bill collectors are calling, the accounts are getting depleted, you know, and it wasn't like that. And I was like, yo, I said, I got to talk to the fellas because I can't keep doing this. And so what happened, I talked to the fellas. They were going through the same things with their wives. And we were like, you know what? It's time to shut it down. We built something great, but all things must come to an end. And so we decided to shut that baby down. We gave our employees 2 months of pay. We were like, look, we shutting it down. Go ahead and look for a job. We're going to pay you for 2 months. You know, you don't need to come in or anything like that. That's the least we could do for them helping us build this business. You know, and we did a lot for them too. We gave opportunities to people that normally wouldn't get opportunities in that industry. And basically what I'm saying is being a loan officer, making low, mid, and high 6 figures as a loan officer, and you really don't have any experience. So we wanted to look out for our own, and because they looked out for us. But it was hard, man. It was hard shutting that thing down. It was hard coming to the realization that, yo, the run is over, bro. You got to figure out something new. So you may be at this point right now when you're listening to this, and this may be hitting home. And if it is, trust me, there's always tomorrow. So we're going to talk about 6 signs that you may need to quit your business. All right. Number 1, you aren't making money for an extended period of time, and it doesn't look like anything is going to change that. Okay. So when you start bleeding yourself dry, when your business is pulling out of your home where you can't pay your home bills, guess what? It might be time. Now, recognize and understand, if you're starting a business, that will probably happen more so than not at first. But if it's an ongoing theme, and I'm talking about years, and years, and you keep struggling, then it may be time to, hey, look, I'm throwing in the towel. Let me come back out with something else. Okay. So now remember, everybody has a different runway or period that they can sustain themselves, or they have the mental fortitude to be able to do it. So, for example, my tolerance for pain is high, right? I could eat peanut butter and jelly for a year if I knew that I was working and building on this business. But my wife and my kids, their tolerance isn't like that. So I know I have to take them into account. So if you have a spouse or partner or whatever, or a family, everybody's situation is different. So you have to take that into account. But if you aren't making money for an extended period of time, it may be time to throw in the towel. Now, if you recognize and understand that, hey, I'm giving this 3 years or whatever it is, and you don't make it in that time frame, and you don't show significant progress to reaching that point, then it may be time to throw in the towel. Number 2 sign that you may want to quit your business, throw in the towel. Your mission has lost its luster. So you're starting to even forget why you started your business to begin with. All right. And this is definitely a sign that your company is heading toward a danger zone, guys. So if you wake up every day and you're going to your business and you're like, man, what am I even doing here? What is my, what's my mission? Before you wanted something else. And a lot of times this happens when your perspectives change. And so if I literally had to go into a business right now where I have all these employees, I got to get suited up every day, I got to manage employees, all types of other stuff, man, my luster would be lost too, because that's not where I am right now. So your mission has lost its luster. So you might have had a mission to do something and accomplish something, and maybe you've done it already, or maybe it just doesn't even matter to you anymore. That may be the time, guys, to throw in the towel, because I'll be honest with you. Most times when we start businesses, it's obviously about making money. But after a while, that money is just a tool. And once you get to a certain point, it's more than just making money. It's about fulfillment. Are you doing things that you enjoy? Are you making a contribution to society? Who are you serving? Who are you helping? And so if that luster is gone, it may be time to throw in the towel and reimagine what your entrepreneurship looks like. Number 3, you love your product or service more than your customers. I've seen this happen too. This is common because, guys, we fall in love with our products or services in our business because they're like our babies. Like I said, we nurture them, feed them, change the diapers, and we think everybody should love what we love. That's why you always test. And I say test, 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 and test some more. It's not about what you like. It's about, will people go into Hip Pocket National and pay you for your products and or services? Okay. And if they won't, guess what? Then you don't have a business. So you love your product or service more than customers. One of my best friends, my brother, he loves, and I've mentioned him on the show before, he loves all these technology, gadgets, home automation, and all this stuff. And, because he loves it, that doesn't mean he's going to be good at selling it and is he going to be able to make people want it? Is there a market for it? Hell yeah, there's a market for it. But the way he was trying to present it, there wasn't a market. So he wanted to do all this home automation. Now you got almost plug and play automation with Ring and all thest thermostats and all of that. And you have the backing of national companies and customer service when he's a one-man shop and he's trying to sell all of this high-tech stuff. And the biggest thing people were saying, well, where's your service department? We called you 2 days ago and you just getting back to us. So don't get caught up, guys, with you loving your product or service more than the customers or prospective customers that you want to get. Number 4, nothing you've tried has worked. Hey, guys, sometimes it just ain't meant to be. All right. It could be the timing. It could be an industry shift. It could be something else. Sometimes you try everything you know how to, and it's just not working. Now, you want to go through deductive reasoning. What are some of the reasons this business may not be working? Is it my sales? Do I have a sales system? Do I have a lead generation system? Do I have a fulfillment system? Is my product or service even good? Do people want it? Sometimes nothing you try works. And that's happened to me several times. I'm thinking, okay, this business, which is similar to mine, is successful, but I don't know the sauce. I don't know the inner workings of how this thing is happening. And I'm trying to be successful with it, but guess what? I got to shut it down. I'm like, how are they doing this? Sometimes nothing you tried has worked and you just got to move on. Don't be in love with the business. I'm telling you. And I know a lot of times we start our businesses based on our passion. And one of the blessings that I have is I'm not necessarily tied to any specific business because I'm passionate, except for Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. But anything else, my hot sauce, my flat irons, any of my other businesses, I'm not in love with the business. I'm in love with trying to build a business. It doesn't matter to me what the product or service is. Now, are there some products or services that I'm more keen to or that I like more? Of course. But my joy comes from trying to build something from nothing. So it doesn't matter. I could be selling tweezers next week. It doesn't matter for me. Can I put the system together that's successful? So if number 4, nothing you tried has worked, shut it down, start something else. And what we're talking about today, guys, is it time to pivot or quit? So we talked about 8 signs that you may want to pivot your business. Now we're talking about 6 signs that may indicate that you need to quit your business. Number 5, you don't have repeat customers. So if you're always struggling month after month for new customers, it's going to be very hard for you guys to scale that business. Now, I know some businesses, that's the way they function. So if you're doing home remodeling, most times you're not going to get a repeat customer for years. So if you're replacing windows or roof, you're a roofer. You might not do a roof for, 20, 25 years, but you may get referrals. But if you don't have repeat customers, guys, and I'm not talking about specific industries, but if you're selling consumables, if you have services or whatever, you want to always be able to build on repeat customers. And if you don't have that, investigate why you don't have that. And if you can't solve that problem, you may want to leave and shut it down. And that's real talk, because you cannot continue, even with a great lead generation system, you can keep rolling, but it's going to be hard to scale if you don't have repeat customers. And last but not least, number 6, you don't find joy running your business anymore. And when you get to that point, it may be time for a new challenge. And I call this the Frankenstein business. And I've done this before. I've created businesses that I couldn't even stand going into. After a while, with my alarm business, my ADT dealership, and it was my lack of management at the time, because I had to bring everybody together. And it's just like building a team. If you're a coach, you have to know what pieces you need, what pieces fit together, and what pieces that do you need to bring in to make everything run smoothly. And so I had several employees. 2 of them were fist fighting outside after work. I just didn't enjoy it anymore. So I didn't find joy at all going into that business. And what did I do? I didn't quit. I was blessed to be able to sell that business. I sold my contracts off, sold my equipment, and I was out on to the next. And that was something that I had to learn, because that was a business that it really took me a while to get up and running. But when I got that business running, that thing was humming, man. So it was nice. And at that time in my life, my girls were born. My son wasn't born yet. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of effort. And it just, after a while, I'm like, man, why am I doing this? When you create a business that you don't like going into, yo, that's bad. You got to figure something out. Either change the environment or the culture or whatever, or shut it down or sell it or whatever. But today we're talking about, is it time to pivot or time to quit? I want to give you guys another example, real life example about when it's time to quit. But before I do that, let me just share all my social media contact information and my resource links. And I'm going to keep this one short. Guys, go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. We've rebuilt the website to make it the resource for black entrepreneurs. So if you want all of my contact information, go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, hit the About button. On the About button, you're going to see all of my social media contact information. I'm going to give it to you real quick here. And for the resources, right? blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Hit the Learn tab. And when you hit the Learn tab, there's all types of resources that you can get. They could be podcast episodes. They could be master classes. There could be blog posts. So hit the Learn tab. So if you want to learn about marketing, click on marketing, scaling your business, mindset, all types of different components in there to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. But real quick, guys, I mentioned at the top of the show my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Go to anewblackwallstreet.com or just go to the site, pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 print version, $9.95 digital. Also mention BEB Academy. Get 3 days free access to the Academy. Go to bebacademy.com. Also, it's on the homepage of the website. Okay. Now, I mentioned the two platforms to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black community. BeSmartByBlack.com for physical products and hire black freelancers for people that do freelance work. That site, both sites right now are under construction. We're moving to a new platform, and it's taking a little longer than I thought. But the new platforms are going to be dope, and they're going to be super more intuitive and interactive than the previous sites. Also, if you want to learn e-commerce pound for pound, the greatest course out there right now, BBAElite.com, Brand Builder Academy Elite.com. It's a 15-week implementation program that takes you from product or service ideation all the way to selling on your own sites and other applicable sites. And it's a beautiful course, guys. Pound for pound, the best course out there, BBAElite.com. Once again, just go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, and it is on the home page. Now, if you want to connect with me, anything long, family, hit me on my email address, jjones@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, JAYJONES @blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, jjones001, JAYJONES001. Instagram, I got 2 IG accounts, guys. The first one is J Jones for Real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. YouTube, guys, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I have additional content on YouTube that is not on the show. And for you first-time listeners, BEB comes out every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. All right, so go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Clubhouse, get at me at I am J Jones. LinkedIn, just search for J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and connect with me there. Once again, guys, all you got to do is go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. If you want the resources, hit the Learn tab, and then whatever resources you need, hit that. If you want my contact information, go to the About page, and on the bottom, it'll have links to all of my social media contact information. So I just want to talk about pivoting and also shutting it down real quick. So pivoting, guys, is nothing wrong with pivoting. So your business may come to a point where it's not being able, you can't break through anymore. It's time for something different. So don't worry if your business pivots. Now, to be quite honest with you, as an entrepreneur, you always got to have that peripheral vision to see what else is out there, and maybe you're missing out on something. I'm not saying take your focus away from what's paying you, but always keep your eyes out in what's going on. So it's funny for me, I kind of made a mini pivot with Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And so I understand where my lane is, right? And so I'm just staying in my lane doing what I do. And what I'm focusing more on now is I'm focusing more on giving the content that's going to help the BEB family elevate their entrepreneur IQ. I'm not going to focus on as many online courses and things like that. If it makes sense, then I'll do it. And I've started focusing my revenue generating more toward my online products, my brands and all of that type of stuff. So I'm really pushing hard right now with the hot sauce. I'm making some decent traction, getting into some retail stores. The online sales have been growing. I got this new flavor, man, that's crazy, heat and honey. So if y'all want hot sauce, go to hellyeahhotsauce.com. HELLYEAH hotsauce.com. This heat and honey is flying off the shelves. And so look forward, and I'm not going to say anything until it's solidified, but I'm right on the verge of breaking into a big major chain right now. And so my focus right now is giving BEB the best content I can to help you guys elevate your entrepreneur IQ, give you actionable steps. And I'm not thinking about the revenue from Black Entrepreneur Blueprint in the ecosystem right now. My focus has pivoted more toward to my physical products. And I'll tell you why. I'm looking to build a brand of consumables. So I just talked about if you don't have repeat customers, then it gets tough, right? So I'm looking to build just like any other brand. Anytime you go into the supermarket, you probably buy pretty much the same thing. So if you're going in and you're buying seasoning salt, it may be McCormick's, it may be another brand. You going in and buy hot sauce, it may be Frank's or whatever you like. And so every time it's programmed in you when you go shopping, these are the things that you like. So when I go shopping for my mom who's elderly, I know exactly what she likes. I know she likes Fig Newtons. That's her sweet. I know she likes peanuts, the dry roasted peanuts. And I go buy the same brands over and over again. And so my focus now is more trying to build consumer brands to be able to eventually pass that down, or if it makes sense, cash out. So along with the hot sauce comes barbecue sauce, and I already started a spice line. That's the same thing. So that's where my focus is now. Not that I'm totally pivoting, but more of my energy is going into generating revenues from that versus generating revenues from the BEB ecosystem. And what I've decided to do, I'm actually getting ready to put out more content for BEB, but on YouTube, in addition to trying to deliver solid content week after week after week. So once again, I'm kind of pivoting in my overall business, direction, where I'm putting a little more energy now into my consumer goods products and my brands. And now I'm pulling back a little in BEB, but the stuff that I'm giving BEB, I wanted to be hard hitting and be able to make a difference to help people move from point A to point B. Now, in terms of quitting, I stopped several businesses, right? But once again, it's not about stopping that business. It's about keeping your entrepreneurship hopes alive by saying, okay, guess what? I got to be real with myself. This didn't work. And a lot of times the reason we don't want to stop, in addition to it being your baby, is you don't want to prove somebody right. It may be your spouse, a partner, a friend, a cousin, your mother, your father, brother, or sister. Yeah, I knew you couldn't do that. And a lot of times we hang on a little bit too long, when in retrospect, we should have cut the cord earlier, right? So with my mortgage business, if I knew what I knew now, when I saw that thing starting to tank and consistently for 3, 4, 5 months, we should have shut that thing down then, 3 or 4 months. We wouldn't have expended all of those hundreds of thousands of dollars out of our pockets. And we could have used that money in retrospect to buy these discounted properties and wait till they come back up. But once again, I was so in love with my business and what my business was doing for me, I couldn't see that. I didn't realize that was the end. Yo, dude, it's a wrap. And then when my wife finally, I knew it was a wrap, but I'm still trying to, make this thing work. When she finally was like, yo, bruh, this isn't working no more. What you gonna do? That really, the light bulb went off, and I was like, yeah, we got to shut it down. But it's okay to quit your business or shut your business down. Don't stop being an entrepreneur though. So, hey, this doesn't work. All right, I got something else. And sometimes, and this is what we were going to do before. I was looking to get into another industry while I was in the mortgage industry, not me and my partners, just me personally. But I was making so much money that I was like, you know what? I don't want to take my focus off what I'm doing. But another thing in retrospect, I should have been diversifying that money because I had, real estate properties and stuff like that. But once again, that whole sector got killed. And so when it's time to quit, y'all, it's time to quit. When you over there struggling and it's costing you more than you're making over a period of time, then you got to say to yourself, does this make sense? What other ideas do I have that I can possibly implement that I can start a new business? That's why I always say test, test, and test. You guys understand you're mad scientists. You're a mad scientist. You got your white coat on, your hair's going crazy, whatever, and you looking like a nut, but you're testing things. Always test things. So if you have a new product or service, if you have a new business idea, test it out. And I'm going to close with this. So years ago, I used to run these dummy ads, right, for help wanted ads. So I was thinking about starting a magazine. This is before, the internet really took over. I was thinking about starting a series of local magazines. So what I did was I started running ads for sales reps. And I literally got calls, got resumes, and I started interviewing people. And I started finding out how much, do they need to come on full time? Would I be able to get commission only sales reps? What type of annual income did they need to come on board? Now, I wasn't even going to start the magazine until I could find the salespeople first. So I was testing the waters before I went out there and started, creating and building the magazine. I wanted to find out if I could sell the advertising first, because that's where the revenue was generated. So you always want to test, test, test. So even if you're in a business now and that business is floundering and you may have to pull the plug on that business, if you have other ideas, test them out. Don't spend a lot of time, money, or resources, but test them out. And real quick, I'm going to talk about, if you haven't heard this before, that's great. If you have, bear with me, because I talked about this before. I used to sell a nootropic, right? And it's a supplement. And what I did before I even bought the product, I tested it out first. And the way I tested it out was this. I bought about 5 samples from the manufacturer. I got the pricing. The bottle, I think, was about $4 a bottle, $4.50 or $5, $4 a bottle, I think. And so what I did was I tried it. I had my wife try it. I had other people try it. Yo, does it make sense? Do you feel more alert? Do you feel more awake? Can you hone in more? Can you focus more? And I was like, yeah, this thing seems like it's working a little bit. So I said, okay, went to the manufacturer. How much is it for 200 bottles, 200 bottles with my label on the supplement? And they were like, yeah, it's like $4. Okay, cool. How long would it take when I placed an order for 100 units for you to get me those bottles? They were like, oh, about 4 to 5 days. All right, cool. So now what I did, instead of buying 100 or 200 bottles of the supplement before I sold anything, I had an image of the bottle created by a graphic artist, and I started running traffic to a landing page. And what I was offering was free bottle. All you got to pay for is the shipping. I think shipping was like $6. And so literally I was losing a little bit of money. The product cost $4, and actually to ship the bottle was like $3 or something. So $7. I think I was losing $1, right? But what happened was, after 30 days, I'm gonna bill you $29.95 on a continuous bill until you cancel. And so what happened, I said, you know what, before I buy these bottles and they're sitting in my garage or my basement or whatever, let me test and see if I can sell them. And so my goal was, if I can sell 30 bottles, 25 or 30 bottles, and get that monthly subscription, then I'll order the product. And sure enough, what happened was I got in the first week, I got about 35 bottles ordered. So I called the manufacturer, yo, give me a 100 bottle order. Sent that. I got them in about 3 to 4 days. My label was on them. I sent them out and shipped them out to the customers. So what did I really spend to test that product? Only thing I spent was for the 5 samples. I put up a landing page, and I think I spent $50 in traffic, like $5 a day for like 10 days to run. This at the time was Facebook traffic, and I made my money back. And out of the 30 something people that were on my trial, 23 of them did the $29.95 at least one time. So that was like over $650 just off that test. Product cost me, like I said, $400, and that was 100 bottles at $4 a piece. So I was in the green within 30 days. So that's the power of testing, guys. So you can test different products or service in your current business, or if you think you're about to shut down or have to shut down, you can go ahead and test a product or service in another industry to start your new business. So you always want to test, and you want to think about entrepreneurship, guys, like you're a mad scientist. You're testing. You're always reiterating. You're finding out what works and what doesn't work. Deductive reasoning, changing headlines, changing your offer, changing all types of things, but always one at a time, so you know what change made what effect on your product or service sales. So that's a whole nother episode. I'm not going to go into that. But before we close it out, guys, I say this each and every week because it's true and I mean it. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. I thank you guys. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast. Also, the new website, guys. We want blackentrepreneurblueprint.com to be the resource for black entrepreneurs. Make sure you go check it out and take advantage of the resources that are on the site. Also, the ecosystem, all the online courses, books, and all of that stuff. All of it is designed to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. We're in this thing as a unit, guys. We're a family, so we got to stick together. And once again, I always say at the close, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide black community by building and supporting black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.